Hello. How y'all doing tonight? Well, let me be the first to welcome you to 2019 Vandalia Gathering, what we think is the premier showcase of West Virginia talent, traditional arts and food and all. And we're just tickled to death that you decided to spend part of your Memorial Day weekend with us. And we're going to try to make it worthwhile. I know you're going to enjoy it. But right now, I'd like to introduce a gentleman who all year long promotes the arts and has done an outstanding job of not just preserving mountain culture and arts, but promoting them as well. And I'd like for you, if you would, to welcome to the stage the curator of the Department of Arts, Culture, and History, my friend, Mr. Randall Reed Smith.
Thank you, Roger Bryant, and you are my friend, and I appreciate that. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Oh, I don't like a mic stand. I do apologize, and they know that, but that's okay. Hey, listen, for those of you I haven't, oh, wait, this is my friend Bethany Klein. She is our deputy, Bethany's, and she's the director of Vandalia.
Oh.
Hi, Bethany.
Hi.
How are you, honey?
I'm good. I'm okay.
Wasn't it good to see Roger Bryant?
It was.
We love Roger Bryant.
We love all the people that come to Vandalia in our park.
And you know what? Welcome to the 43rd Vandalia Gathering. And I was trying to do math, and Bethany, this is her 21st Vandalia.
Don't tell people that.
It's amazing. Oh, now, all right, Charles. And this is my 13th Vandalia as commissioner and now curator, but it's my 15th Vandalia.
Yeah.
We love Vandalia. Do you all love Vandalia? So we want to kick off tonight's festivity, as we always do, with the winners of the Quilt competition. And they're stunning. If you all took time to look at them, and we love quilts. Both my grandmothers were quilters. And there's nothing I really treasure more, I tell you all this every year, but it's the truth, than the quilts that my grandmothers made. But my father's mother, she made all of her grandchildren the Dutch girl quilts. And all the material of the Dutch girls were her dresses. And it truly is something that I can remember, those dresses she wore to church. So we love quilts. I love quilts. And we're going to bring Kaylin Howe out, who coordinates the quilt competition, and we're going to go ahead and start with the winners. Is that okay with you all? Okay. Caitlin, how are you? We're doing well. You got anything for us to read?
Here we go.
Okay, here we go.
You want Peace first, honey?
We're going to do the Peace winners first. Honorable mention from Marlington and Pocahontas County for Medallion Dream, Diana L. Beveridge. Is she here? Okay. And Miss Beveridge couldn't join us tonight. Honorable mention from Cottageville, Jackson County, It's Good to Be Square by Joyce Davis. Miss Davis? Okay, she's not here either. Oh, there's her quilt. Isn't that cool? Okay. And then honorable mention for Peace category from here in Charleston and Kanawha County for Sanibel C's Beverly Javens.
She is here.
Hey, Miss Javens, congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations. Are we doing, Stephen, are you doing pictures? Okay, can we step out here real quick? Come here, Bethany. Put your microphone down.
Okay.
Come here. Honorable mention, Peace, from Scott Depot in Putnam County, A Peaceful Year by Gail Childress. And she's not here, but there's her quilt. Second, mixed other category. That's the second category. And here's our honorable mentions. From Caldwell in Greenbrier County, Linda D. Vaughn for Geese in the Garden, honorable mention. And she's not here. Okay, let's hear. Oh, that's the one I thought the governor might want to go hunting. Because you know the governor loves to hunt. Okay, here we go. Honorable mention. From Wheeling in Ohio County, our first capital, Bethany.
Yes.
We're going to be there on Monday.
I know.
For, oh my gosh,
Oh, you have to say this. She's here.
Azuelos by Francis Fisher Braden. Was I close? You guys show them your name so they can see it. I'm going to Wheeling Sunday.
Are you?
Yeah, we're rededicating that statue up there.
Oh, good.
At the Independence Hall.
Caitlin, you
We
get on
take
the
care
other
of
side.
that.
Do you?
Come on, Bethany.
No, you get. Oh my goodness.
Look how sweet. Thank you for coming to Holy Spirit. Thank you for keeping the traditions alive. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Here we go. Third category is wall hangings, and we have two honorable mentions. Again, from Pocahontas County, Marlington, for Yellow Butterfly, Diana L. Beveridge. And she's not here, but we're going to clap for her anyway. Okay, from Morgantown in Monongalia County, A Fungus Among Us, Fran Kordek. And she's not here either. Okay, so now we get to do the big award, right? The Merit Award? That's what you got. So we would like to present this year's National Association of Certified Quilt Judges Award of Merit. With prior approval of a quilt show's coordinator or sponsor, the National Association of Certified Quilt Judges had the option of awarding this special ribbon to a deserving quilt in any show they hired to judge. At the judge's discretion, the NACQJ Award of Merit will be awarded to one quilt which has achieved recognized standards of quilt making excellence. This year's National Association of Certified Quilt Judges Award of Merit is yet another way the National Association of Certified Quilt Judges strive to recognize and reward exceptional quilts. And our winner in West Virginia of the Merit Prize is a pieced category and is presented to the quilt maker from Cross Lanes in Kanawha County for Farm Girl Vintage, Darlene Webb. And she's with Carol Cutlip as the long arm quilting professional. Congratulations. It's exciting. Isn't this exciting? Congratulations. Thank you so much. Can we get your picture?
Carol's here too. So.
Where's Carol? Carol, come on out.
She's a quilter, yeah.
One of you can sing, the other can tap. And flat foot. Or y'all can quilt. Come on. Give them a big hand, y'all. Thank you both for keeping the traditions alive. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, we got more? Okay. Here we go. Peace. Third place, peace category. From Charleston, West Virginia in Kanawha County, French Braid by Catherine Eagle. Oh, yeah. Are we okay, Stephen? Second place, Peace from Herkin in Putnam County. Sapphire Rays, Mary L. Brown. Okay. Oh, here we go. First prize. And I don't judge this, but this is from my home county of Cabell County, Huntington, a great suburb of my hometown of Barbersville. The Realville. First prize, Compass Star by Irene Goff. Hey, Miss Goff.
She's got some fans.
Give her another big hand, y'all. Applique. How'd you like that pronunciation?
Beautiful.
Third place, category applique. From Putnam County, Scott Depot, Cathedral Window, Brenda Vinson. Okie dokie. Now, Bethany, I think we're going to second place. Applique, Amy Pabst, Leroy, Roane Counties, where's she from, and her piece is Natural. She's not here, but there's her piece. Isn't that great? Give her a hand. Oh, my goodness, Bethany. I think the only county that can do quilting is Cabell County. Look, first place again. Oh, my goodness. Okay, first place, applique, Huntington in Cabell County, Wild Rose by Marie Miley. Next category, mixed other. Third place, from Scott Depot in Putnam County, Quilter's Patch, Kathleen Strange Gross. Kathleen could not make it this evening. Accepting the award for her is quilter Heidi Smithers. Miss Smithers? Thank you for being here. Second place, Mary J. Dowell from Caldwell, Greenbrier County, and her piece is entitled October Sky. And Miss Dow could not join us. Let's see if we got our first place winner here. You ready?
Okay.
For mixed other category, from Nitro in Kanawha County, Paradise in Bloom by Debbie Chancellor. Wall hangings. Third place from Leroy, Roane County, Copper Pennies, Amy Paps. And Miss Paps couldn't join us, could she? Okay. All right, there we go. Give her. Oh, my goodness. Second place from Charleston, Kanawha County, Winter Skies, Beverly Javens. First place, wall hanging, and the purchase award goes to Carol Cutlip of South Charleston in Kanawha County for Blue Hydrangea. Four-time winner.
Thank you so much.
Best of show from Nitro in Kanawha County, Paradise in Bloom, Debbie Chancellor, and the category was mixed other. Ms. Chancellor, you coming back out to see us? So we're going to bring all of our quilters back out so Steve can get one big picture and y'all can give them one big, 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 big round of applause. Here they come. We need white lights. Hey, Steve, wait 1 second. Could we have a little bit house lights, please, so Steve can get more lights for the picture?
Thank you.
There we go. Give him a big hand, you all. Anybody want to take pictures, family, or anything? Okay. Thank you so much. Bethany?
Okay, thank you. Yes.
So, it's that time of the year. The Vandalia Award, always presented to those who keep our traditions, our West Virginia traditions from the old-time communities. We've had musicians, we've had quilters, we've had liars from the Liars Contest. It's something that we take great pride that we get to present to those who have paved the way and continue to pave the way for the next generation. So, Bethany, we're going to start with the Earl of Elkview, George Daugherty. And we're going to bring his family out if they're here. Where's all the Daugherty? Here we go. Come on up, y'all. Normally, we always talk about the winner before we read it, but as I told the girls downstairs, if I talk about the Earl, I won't be able to read it. So I'm going to read first, and then we'll talk about the Earl. The Vandalia Award. Whereas George Daugherty, the Earl of Elkview, was born in Mannington, Marion County, grew up in Elkview, Kanawha County, and was an entertainer, toastmaster, songwriter, wit, and musician. And whereas George, the Earl of Elkview, was beloved by many as the Earl of Elkview, and he traveled around the world singing and talking about West Virginia and the values of Appalachian culture. And whereas in 1973, he became a regular on our Capital City Jamboree country music show, televised statewide, where he initially played ukulele and a musical saw and sang self-composed songs. And whereas starring with its first performance in 1983, George, the Earl of Elkview, co-hosted Mountain Stage, National Public Radio's long-running live performance radio show during its early years, and what I like to say, the true calling card for the state of West Virginia. And whereas he logged more than 3,000 performances across West Virginia and most of the United States, and well as numerous performances in Ireland. And whereas George, the Earl of Elkview, was a patriot, I wore a flag for him, who was fiercely proud of his state, country, and Irish heritage. And whereas he was an approachable, welcoming source of advice and encouragement for many in the Kanawha County recovery community. Okay, I'll be fine. I was hoping you were taking my glasses. Therefore, I, by the authority vested in me to foster the preservation of West Virginia's national culture, do posthumously present the Vandalia Award to George Daugherty, the Earl of Elkview, signed by me today. Give him a big hand. Oh, my gosh. Isn't that great? Oh, my gosh. Thank you for letting me do it.
Thank you.
I just want to say real quick, I'm in a governor-appointed position. I've been doing this almost 14 years, and there's a lot of people that sometimes they ain't happy. But the Earl was always happy. He always encouraged. Every time I saw him, he always had a word of encouragement, a word of thank you, a word of you do a great job. And my only regret is he is not here tonight to see this, because I can think of no one who is more deserving of this award. If you knew him, oh, you loved him. And the best thing is I can go right downstairs to the museum and hear his voice anytime I want to, because he is Senator Van Winkle in the wheeling room. So I'm going to turn it over to the family. Who's talking? Come on, Miss Nancy Daugherty. Nancy Daugherty is so important to us. She runs all of arts education in the country and universe at the National Endowment of the Arts. And here you go, girl. You want me to put it on the stand for you?
Sure. Well, I can hold it.
Okay.
That's all right. I can hold it. So, oh, the West Virginia hills, how majestic and how grand, with her summits bathed in glory like our Prince Emmanuel's land. Is it any wonder, then, that my heart with rapture thrills as I stand once more with loved ones in these West Virginia hills? On behalf of George Daugherty's family, the Earl of Elkview, I want to thank Randall Reed Smith and the staff and crew of this wonderful culture center. Dad loved his family, he loved this country, but more than really anything else, he loved West Virginia and its people. And we're deeply, deeply appreciative of this recognition for our larger-than-life, one-of-a-kind, true gold and blue mountaineer father, who was one of the most enthusiastic people that I've ever known in my life, and I hope that his enthusiasm has spread far and wide, and that we will all continue in his lovely tradition of just being overly excited about everything. We are really excited about this, so thank you so much for this tremendous honor. We really appreciate it.
Steve. Where are you, Steve Brightwell? I posed a picture. Come down here. That's okay. He can get his steps in for the day. I want just the family by itself first, then I'll get in. We'll butt my girdle. Okay. Come on, Bethany. She does all the work. Y'all get to take it with you, you know. Still doing video.
Should we take it right now?
Which one of you was going to fight for it?
We'll give it to our older brother.
Thank you.
Okay.
So this year, we decided to do 2 awards. We know Vandalia, the Vandalia Award is very sacred. It's a huge honor. And we just couldn't narrow it down to one. And so Bethany and I talked long and hard, and we just decided to do 2. So if anybody doesn't like that, please come and tell me, and I will spit on you. because where I spit, no grass grows ever. So, but I just think that we have to honor this community, and we have to keep these traditions alive, and we have to get our kids out of this and get them to this. So we wanted to do 2 awards, and Bethany is going to introduce this award. Bethany, I'll help you get it up here.
Okay. As the commissioner said, we did talk long and hard, and this next person is, this person has been brought up several times when the Vandalia Award has been mentioned. He's a man that always brings a smile to my face. I'm sure he brings a smile to yours. And I will say this. I'm going to bring someone out to talk a little bit more about him that knows him better than I. But I will say this. Years ago, when I was working here in events, Pat Cowdery, who was our events manager then, she had me call several of the musicians and talk to them about Vandalia, and talk to them about what they wanted to do and where they wanted to do it and that kind of thing. And I remember talking to Jane George for a really, really long time. But I also remember talking to this gentleman. And this gentleman was inspiring. He was sweet. He was funny. He made me realize that there is more to Vandalia than I think there is. And a lot of it is just about West Virginia family and West Virginia traditions. And these are the best people you'll ever meet. They really are. They just want everybody to know how wonderful West Virginia is. And before, I'm not going to announce his name. I'm going to let someone else come out. Kim Johnson's going to come out and talk about him really fast. Yes, you are. I want you to say one thing.
Hey, this is kind of sprung on me, but I've known Dwight Diller for about 150 years. It seems like longer, but, you know. Anyway, he is a really good guy, and he's taught banjo for years, and he's well known internationally, and that's about all I can think of right now. He's the recipient of the 2019 Vandalia Award.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dwight Diller.
Dwight, are you ready? Are you ready, Dwight? Okay. Vandalia Award 2019. Whereas Dwight Diller grew up in Pocahontas County, prettiest one in West Virginia, and has distinguished himself as a historian, philosopher, Mennonite pastor, and consummate clawhammer, banjo player, fiddle player, and teacher. And whereas Dwight grew up having instilled in him the mountain culture of East Central West Virginia, and whereas he is a world-renowned old-time musician, and those people in North Carolina think they started it, but we did. Right? You're the historian. Okay. And his discography includes 15 commercially released music albums and 5 one-hour instructional DVDs. And whereas his recordings of music and stories of the Hammonds family continue to be a major influence on today's traditional old-time musician and Appalachian cultural anthropologist, and that's a big word. And whereas Dwight has taught and performed in countless venues across North America, including a banjo workshop at the very first Vandalia in 1977, where he has been a fixture ever since. And whereas he is one of a small handful of native West Virginia musicians actively engaged in preserving the traditional music of the Mountain State. And whereas he has an avid following of students and friends attracted to his unique teaching style and cultural interpretation that he has developed over the past 50 years. Therefore, I, by the authority vested in me to foster the preservation of West Virginia's traditional culture, and it don't get no better than music, do present to Dwight Diller the Vandalia Award for the year 2019, signed by me, Randall Reed Smith, Curator, West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History. Congratulations. We appreciate you so much. Do you want any family up here? You got any family out there?
He wanted to say something.
We're going to let him say whatever he wants to say.
You say whatever you want, babe.
It's pretty, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's all about the old people. It's all about the old people. My students. Thank you.
Do you want anybody up here with you for pictures? We'll get anybody up here you want. Who do you want? You got family here? No. You don't have any family here?
Get your picture.
Okay, hold on. And you got to stay to the end of the show because Dwight is, did I say it wrong? Dwight. So Dwight is going to be performing tonight. Bethany, where's your friend Andrew?
Oh, Andrew.
Who'd you want up here? Andrew and who else?
Here he comes. And Dave.
Dave. Oh, Dave. Dave Bing. Oh, my gosh, I love Dave Bing.
Oh, he's not up here.
Okay. When I became commissioner, I wanted to honor people who believe in our arts and our history. So I get to do an award for people who have just done great things. And this year, I wanted to give the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History Order of the Arts and Historic Letters to Mark Payne, whose outstanding commitment to the arts, culture, and history exemplifies the spirit of the people of the great state of West Virginia and supports the mission of the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History, presented on this day, May 24th, by me. Will you get that to him? Do you want to say anything? All right. Thank you, thank you. We ready, Bethany?
We're ready.
Oh, okay, we're done with awards. So we're on with the show. You all ready for some good music? Okay. I say this every year, but I just want to remind you, as long as I'm here, Vandalia is going nowhere. We try to make it bigger, better every year. So any suggestions, anything you want to do, just let us know. Have a great couple of days. Thank you for keeping our traditions in West Virginia alive. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable Roger Bryant.
Thank you, Randall. Miss Bethany and Miss Kaylin there. Fine job. Give everybody a big round of applause. That's a lot of great quilts and very deserving awards, I might say. Boy, I tell you, it's so good let me say again, it's so good to see y'all out here tonight. Vandalia is kind of more like a family reunion than it is a festival or that kind of thing. It gives us a chance to, not just the musicians to get together, but some of you folks have been coming back year after year after year, and to us, you are family. So, well, again, I can't say enough how glad we are to see you tonight. We're going to start the concert off by doing a tribute to my friend, George Daugherty, the Earl of Elkview, later on the Duke of Dunbar. I could stand up here all night and tell you stories about some of mine and George's adventures, but I want to get right into the thing, so I'm going to call his family back up here. If you guys would come back up, Dick and Tom and Sally and yeah, and Nancy, y'all come on back up here, and we're gonna put together some music and some stories and tell you a little bit about George. Gosh, I like I said, I could tell you all kinds of stories about mine and George's adventures. We started out down on number 8 Capitol Street. That was an interesting place back in the late 60s, early 70s. You had Bernie Weeper and Sam Chilton and all those guys hanging out down there, and George's office was kind of a gathering point. And I can honestly say that my career would not have taken off as well as it did without the help of George Daugherty. He had a way of making everybody feel like he was their best friend and that they were the number one talent in the state. And I know certainly he made me feel that way. George and I played everything from class reunions to we played the Round Barn up at in Russell Fluharty's hometown. They were trying to save the Round Barn, and we played that. If you can imagine, George Daugherty and I playing for a high school class reunion. That's just some of the adventures that we had. But I'm going to call the family back out, and we're going to do a little talking and do a little music for you here. So come on out, folks. Turn the mic over to you. Who's first?
I heard he spoke. So.
Huh? I think Dick should go first.
You think Dick should? Well,
Sure. He's the eldest.
Well, I'm the oldest. Yeah, I'm Captain Dick Daugherty here, formerly the captain of the Spirit of West Virginia. My father George wrote a theme song called "The Spirit of West." What was it called?
It's the Spirit of West Virginia.
The Spirit of West Virginia. It was a paddle wheel boat, but anyway, he was my dad opened the PA Denny sternwheeler back in the 70s for during the sternwheel regatta, and he closed the PA Denny. He performed on the first and last trip that it was here as live, and then he did the same thing on the Spirit of West Virginia sternwheeler, my sternwheeler, and Nancy's sternwheeler, and we were grateful for that. But my father, I think that I said at his funeral that the only person that had more knowledge and more love for West Virginia possibly was A. James Manchin. He's gone, so he thought George was number one. And we loved our dad, and he loved us, and everything he instilled in us was the love of our state and our country. So we're grateful to be here and grateful to get the award. Thank you.
My name is Sally Daugherty, and I had the great pleasure of performing with Dad on many occasions, along with my brother Tom, and it was always exciting. It was always fun. Sometimes it was hard because I'd like to rehearse, and I'd like to get things sort of to a point where we know what to expect, and Dad was willing to do that, but when it came to showtime, he just let it rip, and you just had to hang on as tight as you could and follow him. And that always made the show a challenge. But it was a fun challenge. And Dad had a strong belief in God. He believed that is an afterlife in heaven, and I believe that too, and he is there, and his spirit is still here with us, even if he isn't here physically. So thank you so much for coming out and helping us honor our dad.
I'm Thomas Daugherty. I'm his youngest son, and as Sally said, we got to play many, many Irish shows and St. Patrick's Day shows and New Year's Eve shows with him all over the state, and had a really good time. He taught me a lot of music, a lot of Irish music, and I'm going to share one of his special gifts that he passed on to me. I'm going to share that with you a little bit later. But it was just, he taught us all the old songs. He taught my kids all the old sing-along songs, all the patriotic songs, all the service member songs. He just taught us so much, and he was such a great example, and I'm so proud to be his son. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to get set up now for a real treat. And while we're doing that, I'll take a second to run down. We've got a big show for you tonight. Next, we'll be doing a tribute to Marvine Loving with Bobby Taylor and Luke. And then we're going to do a musical tribute to Judson Wallace. And then starting tomorrow, we'll kick things off about 10:30. Huh? Are you going to do video next? Yep. Oh, okay. Sorry, we had a little change in the schedule there. But anyway, I'll finish telling you about we're going to kick things off with 10:30 at 10:30 tomorrow with the grand parade at 11 a.m. and then we'll start all the contests. It'll be spread out. Got the best food in Charleston. It's going to be all out through the grounds there. Got craftsmen over in the big circle, so be sure and come back tomorrow. And I think now we're going to do the video and then do the special song.
I was sitting there one morning, Sears and Roebuck in my hand, with my mail pouch in my pocket, just a spittin' in a can, when a thought just run right through me, like them salts will do a man. It takes a snuff-dippin' woman for a backer-chewin' man. When you chew and dip together, you're close as you can be. It'll help your disposition, it'll cure your misery. On the snuff and mail pouch mixes like a hound dog and a flea, and the kissin' sure is better with a girl who tastes like me. Sister Sari sat in church behind a undertaker's fan. She reached down in her pocketbook and come up with a can of honest snuff's best dippin' as made in this great land. And she's a snuff dippin' woman for a backer chewin' man. Now here's the love part. Me and Sari, we got married on the 13th day of June. We chewed and dipped together on that summer honeymoon. And now we got a little dipper coming pretty soon. And life sure can be beautiful when you chew and dip and tune. When you chew and dip together, you're close as you can be. It'll help your disposition, it'll cure your misery. On the snuff and mail pouch mixes like a hound dog and a flea, and the kissing sure is better with a girl who tastes like me. Thank you very much. Thank you very kindly. I'm so pleased and flattered to be asked to be part of Vandalia. That song, just written as an old song, was written way back in 1969. But you know, a young fellow like me can be part of the traditions and part of the ongoing storytelling and preservation of all these things too. I loved it when John Loving and his wife mentioned Buddy Starcher and all the old guys on the old farm hour and everything. And those of us, Dr. Williams and all of us who are here now, are kind of preserving things that one day somebody will be able to listen to, and when they talk about us, they can hear us, because all this is being preserved.
All righty, takes a snuff dipping woman for a backer chewing man. Love songs like that always brings a tear to my glass eye. I just can't hardly stand it. We're going to ask Tom if he'll come back out now and do a special song that he learned from his dad. And along with him, here's Buddy Griffin. So if you would, welcome him back to the stage.
I grew up watching my dad play the saw, and he gave me my first saw in 1987, and it took me about 6 months of playing with it and trying to do anything before I could finally pick out a tune like Mary Had a Little Lamb that somebody else could understand what it was without me telling them. I spent a lot of years playing this by myself in a band, and I played a lot of shows with him. George and I used to do a duet of Danny Boy that would just rip your heart out and stomp it on the ground. And it was the only saw duet of Danny Boy in the Kanawha Valley, we thought. So that's something that we really enjoyed doing, and I'm going to do that for you tonight. I'm going to sit down here. Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the flowers are dying. It's you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. And if ye come and all the roses dying, and if I'm dead as dead I well may be, you'll come and find the place that I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me. And I shall hear the soft ye tread above me, and all my grave will warmer, sweeter be. And you will kneel and tell me that you love me. And I shall sleep in peace until you come to me. And now with my friend Buddy Griffin, and George's good friend Buddy Griffin, I'm going to play this song on the instrument of a humble carpenter. And while we do that, I'd like you to join me in a prayer for world peace. Thank you very much. And thank you, Buddy.
Tom Daugherty, ladies and gentlemen. An apple don't fall too far from the tree. I can see that now. But anyway, as I told you, Vandalia is kind of a family affair, and unfortunately, too many leaves are falling off the family tree these days. And we're going to move into a tribute to Marvine Loving, also passed away this year. And John and Marvine were kind of staples around Vandalia here. All of us kind of got to know them, and they've cut a pretty wide path of entertaining folks throughout not just the Kanawha Valley, but throughout the state of West Virginia and other places. So I'm going to ask Bobby Taylor if he'd come out and make a few comments. Bobby Taylor.
Thank you very much. Today we honor and celebrate the life of Marvine Loving. She passed away February the 7th, 2019, surrounded by her family. She was 93. She was the youngest child of William B. and Nellie Medora McAllister, and she had 5 brothers and sisters. She was preceded by her parents, her first husband, Raymond Edward Johnson, and her youngest son, Timothy Joe Johnson. Marvine, to this festival, along with John Loving, her husband of 50 years, performed over 25 years, or 25 consecutive years of Vandalia. They brought to the stage some of the beautiful music of the Carter family, and I thought that they added an element like no other. There's no replacing any of these wonderful people that have gone on. She was known to all as a person that was positive. She smiled and the world smiled with her. She loved everyone and everyone loved her. There's very few people in life that I've known that had no enemies. If I had to choose in the top 5, she would be there. Now, Marvine, throughout her life, she raised 4 of her own children and 2 stepdaughters and 2 of her grandchildren. She was known to have love and a gentle hand and showed us how to be strong through most difficult times. I know that when I would go visit John and Marvine in their home, if I had problems in life, I felt like I could just kind of voice them there. I couldn't believe the wisdom that she had and how she could take a serious situation and just kind of put it in its place so kindly. She was president of the Bill Monroe fan club. She was the founding member. A lot of people don't know a few things about Marvine, but she loved to watch golf on TV. She always cheered for the Cincinnati Reds and the Atlanta Braves. And she was a quilter. She crocheted, and she did needlework. But being president of the Bill Monroe fan club, if people knew the personality of Bill Monroe, the father of bluegrass music, he, shall we say, at some points in his life wasn't the most people-oriented person. If a fan would come up, he might not give them proper recognition. Well, Marvine, in her own gentle way, told Bill Monroe that he needed to ask them a few questions, like, how long have you been listening to bluegrass music? Which tune do you like best? Usually it was Mule Skinner blues, you know. Do you play music? How long have you been playing? Who's the best fiddle player in the world? Kenny Baker. Okay. There was that. And you know, when you went to the festivals, and Marvine and John went to a lot of festivals, they played on the festival circuit and was a welcome change to a bluegrass venue or a country venue. They had this soul that they did with the Carter family songs. They had a lot of soul and feeling. And it wasn't uncommon for Nashville stars to come up and talk with John and Marvine. And some of them even noted that when they met Bill Monroe, he still asked those questions. So you can see her gentle nature made her one of the greatest ladies that I've ever known. I would have to say that a lot of the things in life make you tougher, they make you more compassionate, and all that. Marvine loved her family. She loved her music. She had 10 grandchildren, 8 great-grandchildren, and 1 great-granddaughter. So she loved children. She had a family that was just a beautiful bond. Marvine never met anyone who did not like her. That comes from her family. That comes from me. Her legacy and memory will forever live on in the people's lives she touched. She was a positive person who made the world smile with her. She was an immediate friend to everyone. She tried to keep everyone around her on the sunny side of life. Thank you.
I want to ask Luke and Buddy to come out here and help me do a song that I learned from Marvine. Well, I almost learned it.
Raise me up here if you can a little bit.
Up on the rugged cross of Calvary was there my blessed Savior cried, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Oh, sinner friend, for you he died." His hands are gently walking on the door. Outside he's begging to come in. His heart is breaking as he waits for you. Oh, sinner friend, who took the place. Someday he's coming back to claim his own. We'll fly to heaven's golden shore, and there we'll wear a crown of gold and live with him forevermore. His hands are gently knocking on your door. Outside he's begging to come in. His heart is breaking as he waits for you to free you from your every sin. Savior's head. The blood was streaming down his face. Ashamed, there he died and suffered so. Oh, sinner friend, he took your place. His hands are gently knocking on your door. Outside, he's pleading to come in. His heart is breaking as he waits for you to wash you free from every sin. His heart is breaking as he waits for you to wash you from his every sin. Thank you.
There's a dark and troubled side of life. There's a bright and sunny side too. Though we meet with the darkness and strife, the sunny side we also may view. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day, it will brighten all the way, if we keep on the sunny side of life. Though the storm and its fury broke today, crushing hopes that we cherish so dear, clouds and storms will in time pass away, and the sun again will shine bright and clear. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day, it will brighten all the way, if we keep on the sunny side of life.
Let us greet with a song of praise each day.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to introduce Becky Kimmons now and ask her to come out if she would and make a few. We're going to. You go ahead. That's fine. Let's hear it for Becky. And we're going to do a musical tribute to Judson Wallace. So Becky, it's yours.
Thank you. Do we have? I think we've got some music to play. I need to get this thing down here on my level. And some photographs. Can we cue up the photographs and the music? Is that coming? Well, yeah, give me the music. A little bit of music and some photographs.
Take the Lord with you, children, everywhere you go. You ought to take the Lord with you, children, everywhere you go. And you ought to take the Lord with you, children, everywhere you go. In the streets, in a crowd, in your home, when you're all alone, the highway, the byway, you ought to take the Lord with you, children, everywhere you go. And you ought to take the Lord with you, children, everywhere you go. You ought to take the Lord with you, children, everywhere you go.
All right. Well, that's just a tiny little taste of the United Gospel Singers, sometimes called the United Baptist Singers. Mr. Judson Wallace, let's see what we got here on this. Yeah, this is when they came. This is Bertha and Judson, and this is the Eagle Central Baptist Church. And these photographs accompanied an article that I wrote about these folks that appeared in Golden Seal. That's Judson, and that's the reason why I'm out here tonight talking about Mr. Judson Wallace. He was a man among men, let me tell you. He just recently died this spring at the age of 90, and he had been making music all around West Virginia, Ohio, sometimes in Tennessee, with the United Baptist Singers. And all these folks that you see here, they're all family. Belinda Charlotte Wallace is with us tonight. I think she's probably down here. Linda, are you out here? Mm-hmm. I was going to ask her to stand, but you can't see her anyway. But Judson and Bertha, Judson's on this side here, and Bertha, his wife, they started singing together in 1957, and they were a cappella singers, and their whole point was to serve. They really didn't do it to entertain, although they did entertain wonderfully well, and they never did it for fame. That wasn't the point. It was to serve God. So they never got paid, and they did a lot of singing all over southern West Virginia. The Golden Seal article is just really fun and wonderful. But when I told Judson that I wanted to write an article about him, he wasn't all that excited about it. He really didn't like a lot of attention focused on him. But he was a man that got things done. He took care of his people. And his folks were in Fayette County, and he lived on Armstrong Creek. And that was a biracial neighborhood. There were white folks and black folks, and Judson made sure that they had a water system to serve that community. And he was a fantastic political strategist. I know this because in 2004, I went up to the legislature, and I needed to find some money for the Friends of Old Time Music and Dance Festival that was being held in the Fayette County Park. And I walked into the Senate chambers, and Judson Wallace, I didn't know him at the time, but it was his job to keep riffraff like me out. So he came up to me, and he asked me what was my business, what was I looking for. And I was looking for those Fayette County senators and Kanawha County senators. And I told him that I was a singer and that we were going to do this music festival, and I had big plans for that music festival. And he said, well, I just happen to be a singer too. So we hit it off from the very first, and we became very good friends. And I'm telling you, he was a singer. He was a bass singer. And so I brought Jean English tonight. She is a Fayette County girl, too, and she grew up listening to the United Baptist Singers. So she's got a few words to say about Judson and about the singers.
Well, one of the things I can say about Mr. Wallace is that he loved his music. And I was only with him for like 5 years. I was the last and grafted in. But when he asked me to sing, he would start calling me. I work now, but at 10 o'clock at night, he'd say, "You want to listen to this? Listen to this." I said, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." I mean, what more could you say? But he loved his music. And when I first started singing with them, I was very, just really overwhelmed because here's someone to sing in a cappella. When we were young coming up, and they asked us to sing in the Quartet Convention, Mr. Wallace was the one that we would hear them sing in the United Baptist Singers, and it was just so exciting to hear someone, and they were older group, and we were young, and they were singing a cappella, and we had to go around. We had to have our music. We had to look for our drums. We had our guitars and everything, but they just came always prepared because all they did was sing a cappella. Of course, we had to set up this and set up this. Sometimes you leave this at home. We even left guitar one time. But I appreciate Mr. Wallace and Miss Wallace for the hospitality, and Linda. And you're talking about somebody that loved the Lord. Mr. Wallace loved the Lord. And I just appreciate the fact that they engrafted me into their group.
Well, they sang for, yes. So we're going to sing a little bit for you all tonight in a cappella style, and Jean's going to sing us, and I want to bring out Donald White. Donald was part of the original group. He sang with the United Baptist Singers for more than 40 years. So Don, come on out. Wonderful singer. And I'm going to bring out Bill Kimmons and Mark Davis. And these folks were gracious to work up a couple of songs with us. So we're going to do it in honor of Judson and Bertha, LaGertha Radford, and Sarita White. That was the original group. And Judson was determined to keep that group going, so he asked Jean to come along. I didn't realize it was 5 years, but I guess it was. All right, so they're setting up the mics, all right.
And one other thing, that when at Valley High School, where I was a counselor, we also honored this group. They were the oldest quartet in Fayette County, and they had been there for 50 years, 56 years as a quartet in Fayette County, and so we honored them during Black History Month, and that was such a blessing for that too.
Is the quartet convention still going?
Yes, we still have the quartet convention.
Well, Judson was president of the quartet convention, and he invited our group of Bare Bones to come and sing at the quartet convention, and Bill and I did. So we had a wonderful time. There's all this music in the hills, much of it not famous people, not doing it for fame, doing it for the sheer love of the music. And it's going on still all around us. All right, are we set up yet?
Quite yet. Are you ready, Todd? All right, here we go.
We're going to start with a pretty famous song. I think probably a whole lot of you out there know it. It's called Have a Little Talk with Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I once was lost in sin, but Jesus took me in. And then a little light from heaven filled my soul. He bathed my heart in love and wrote my name above. And just a little talk with Jesus makes me whole.
Now let us
Have a little talk with Jesus.
Let us
Tell him all about our troubles.
He will
Hear our faintest cry.
and he will
Answer by and by. Now
when you feel a little where will turning, and you
know a little fire is burning.
You will
Find a little talk with Jesus makes it right.
I may have doubts and fears, my eyes are filled with tears, but Jesus is a friend who watches day and night. Oh, I go to him in prayer, he knows my every care, and
just a little talk with Jesus makes it right. Now let us
Have a little talk with Jesus.
Let us
Tell him all about our troubles.
He will
Hear our faintest cry.
and he will
Answer by and by. When you feel a little prayer wheels turning,
and you
know a little fire is burning.
You will
Find a little talk with Jesus makes it right. Oh, right. Why don't you have a little talk with Jesus?
You can
Tell him all about your troubles.
He will
Hear your faintest cry.
and he will
Answer by and by. When you feel a little prayer wheel turning,
and you
know a little fire is burning.
You will
Find a little talk with Jesus makes it right. Oh, right. Gospel music is a purely American form, and it is so wonderful. It has spawned so many kinds of music, you know, jazz, rock and roll, blues, R&B. It's all in that gospel music, all started out in the gospel church. So we're going to do a song that Rolling Stone magazine says is one of the top rock and roll songs of all time, done in 1951, long before Elvis Presley, long before Jerry Lee Lewis, although Jerry Lee used to climb up under the black church underneath and listen to the black folk sing on Sunday morning, so that's where he got part of his style, most of his style. So here's this song called I Live Again, and Judson and Donald did this song with me and Mark and Bill at Tamarack several years ago, and it's an awful lot of fun, so hang on. I'm a servant of the King, whoa, praising His holy name. And if I live my life and oh, I live again. That's why I live again. You'll see me strong. I live again. Every day. I live again. Of my life. I live again. Trying to keep. I live again. My lamps trimmed and burning. I live again. And to make sure I live again. They won't go. I live again. Oh, I live again. Those foolish virgins. I live again. Who let live again. Their lamps go out. I live again. Whoa, whoa, whoa. If I live Father too.
Live again.
Tell the Lord
Live
I
again.
made it through.
Live again.
Saint Peter,
Live again.
Saint Paul,
Live again.
see my Jesus.
Live again.
First of all,
Live
and
again.
then I move
Up in glory.
and I
Tell the story.
I shout,
Shout hallelujah.
my troubles will
all be over.
You know that
I live again. I live again. I live again.
We're gonna live again.
I live again. I live again.
We're gonna live again.
I live again.
I see my mother.
Live again.
Father too.
Live again.
Tell the Lord
Live
I
again.
made it through.
Live again.
Saint Peter.
Live again.
Saint Paul.
Live
See
again.
my Jesus.
Live again.
First of all,
Live
and
again.
then I move
Up in glory.
Yes, and I
Tell the story.
Oh, I will shout.
Shout hallelujah.
Yes, I'll be shouting.
Shout hallelujah.
Oh, I'll be shouting.
Shout hallelujah.
Gonna shout.
Shout hallelujah.
My troubles will all
be over.
You know, I live again. Well, I live again. Thank you very much. All right. How much time do we have? Gene, thank you. Thank you so much for coming down from
Gene,
Beckley
thank you
tonight.
so much.
Thank you, Donald
Don.
White.
Becky, give Don a handshake there.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Boy, now that was fun. Woo!
So I think we have a little bit of time left, and do we have? All right, two more. Well,
And that's
that'll
what we
work
had
out
planned.
just right. Okay, we're going to continue. Much of the music that we do as Bare Bones comes from the black repertoire, and I love that old-time black music. We're going to do a song now that was made famous by a fellow named Sam Cooke. And Mr. Sam Cooke sang with the Soul Stirrers before he became the famous Sam Cooke. And he did a song called Jesus Gave Me Water. There was a woman from Samaria, came to the well to get some water. There she met a stranger who did her story tell. That woman dropped her pitcher, she drank and was made richer from the water that he gave her, and it was not from the well. Oh, Jesus, He gave me water. He gave me water. He gave me water. Oh, He gave me that living water.
He gave me water.
Jesus,
He gave me water.
He gave me water.
He gave me water.
I'm gonna let
He gave
His
me water.
praises swell.
He gave me water.
Oh,
He gave
Jesus,
me water.
He gave me water.
He gave me water.
Oh, He gave me
He
that
gave me water.
living water.
He gave me water.
Jesus,
He gave me water.
He gave me water.
He gave me water, and it was not from the well.
Well, on that woman, He had pity. She ran down to the city, singing glory, hallelujah, and did His praises tell. That woman dropped her pitcher, she drank and was made richer from the water that He gave her, and it was not from the well. Oh, Jesus, He gave me water. Oh, He gave me that living water. Oh, Jesus, He gave me water. I'm going to let His praises swell. Oh, Jesus, He gave me water. Oh, He gave me that living water. Jesus, He gave me water, and it was not from the well. Well, the woman left shouting. There was no room for doubting that she had met a Savior who did her story tell. Every time she doubted, she would stop and think about Him, that one who gave her that water, Lord, and it was not from the well. Oh, Jesus, He gave me water. He gave me water. Oh, He gave me that living water. Oh, Jesus, He gave me water. I'm going to let His praises swell. Oh, Jesus, He gave me water. Oh, He gave me that living water. Oh, Jesus, He gave me water, and it was not from the well. Some of the songs from the old African American repertoire are story songs, and this is one of our favorites, probably developed in the black barbershops. And I think you'll hear a little bit of the history of barbershop singing here in this song that we love to sing, called The Prodigal Son. Go ye prodigal son. Go ye prodigal son. Go ye prodigal son,
and be a servant of the Lord. Well, I believe, yes, I believe that I will go back home. I believe, yes, I believe that I will go back home. I believe, yes, I believe that I will go back home and be a servant of the Lord.
Well, the prodigal son was a forward child.
His mind was not to obey.
But when he left his father's house,
He thought he had gone astray.
Well,
I believe, yes, I believe that I will go back home. I believe, yes, I believe that I will go back home. I believe, yes, I believe that I will go back home and be a servant of the Lord.
when his father saw him coming,
He met him with a smile.
he threw his arms around him.
He said, Lord, 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 Lord,
This is my darling child. Well, I believe,
yes, I believe
that I will go back home. I believe, yes, I believe that I will go back home. I believe, yes, I believe that I will go back home and be a servant of the Lord. Well, I believe, yes, I believe that I will go back home. I believe, yes, I believe that I will go back home. I believe, yes, I believe that I will go back home and be a servant of the Lord. Lord, Lord. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark Davis. Thank you, Bill Kimmons.
All right,
Honored at
bare
the Kimmons.
bones, ladies and gentlemen. Fine job. It's always a treat to hear the harmonies and all that Bill and Becky and friends bring to the stage here at Vandalia. Even though folks leave us from Vandalia, as we've seen tonight with George and Marvine and Judson, the good thing about that is that the music never dies in Appalachia. As long as we got folks like you, we got Vandalia, we got Augusta and String Band Festival and all the other live music venues in West Virginia. I don't think we have to worry about the music ever dying off. We got young people coming up every day that are learning from guys like you're going to see out here next and from other musicians throughout the state. But we want to get on with it now, and if you would, I'd like for you to make welcome the High Ridge Ramblers.
we on? Yep, yep. Thank you. Good to be here. We are the High Ridge Ramblers, -1. Our rock of the band, Mark Payne, couldn't be here with us tonight. He's under the weather, so to speak, and we do miss him, but we can travel on without him here. What are we going to do here first?
Bill Mason?
Bill Mason.
We'll do a song now. There's a I first learned it from John and Dave Morris from Ivydale, West Virginia. Yeah, give a big round of applause. I think originally it was actually a poem in the late 1800s, and then Charlie Poole had a big hit in the late 20s probably. But I didn't know any of that. I learned it from Dave and John and found this other stuff out later. And I'll introduce it the way Dave did, which is it's the only train song we know that has a happy ending. It's called Bill Mason. Bill Mason was an engineer, been on the road all his life. I never will forget the day he married him a loving wife. Well, they hadn't been married but an hour, come an uninvited guest, bringing him his orders to bring out the night express. Well, little Maggie sat by the window waiting for the night express. And if she hadn't have done so, she'd have been a widow, I guess. For a bunch of drunken rascals, they came down from the ridge. They came down by the railroad tracks and tore up the railroad bridge. Well, she knew she had to warn him that something there was wrong. In less than 15 minutes, Bill's train was to come along. Well, she could not go to the telegraph, it would have taken much too long. So she just grabbed up her lantern and made for the bridge alone. Bill Mason saw the signal and he stopped the night express. And he found little Maggie crying on the tracks in her wedding dress, a laughing and a crying with joy, still holding on to that light. He come around the curve, a flying boys, Bill Mason's on time tonight.
the tune.
Oh, yeah. You want to do that one right now? Or you do another fiddle tune?
Yep, fiddle tune. Glenn Smith used to always make the Vandalia Festival, and won first place many times in the contest. One of our favorite fiddlers, and I'm one of the people that learned quite a few tunes off of him. This is one he played called the North Carolina Breakdown.
All right, we're going to do another one here called That Happy Night. We like it because it mentions West Virginia. Many years now ago, when I saw it through. Many years now ago, when I saw. Let's stop. Let's have a meeting. Oh, it's there.
I know the chorus. I know the chorus. No, not another fiddle tune. Anybody can Google out there? We need to get these words.
I can't come up with the first line. If I could do that, I could get it.
Oh, man. What's the name of the tune?
Many years now have passed since I saw my darling last.
That it? I don't know. I've never done it before. I'm making it up as I go.
We're making it up as we go, clearly. Many years now have passed. Let's try it again.
All right, here we go.
We're going to try it again. Many years now have passed since I saw my darling last, but she waits alone there just for me. I'll be going back someday, and I never more will stray from that girl who
Now we still don't have that first verse right. We've got to, let's take that from the top.
Yeah.
Let's do one quick fiddle tune here. It's one everybody knows here, and we're going to get out of here. We missed Mark tonight, but it's good to be here again. This is about the 40, I missed 2 Vandalias the whole year's been going on, the whole time's been going on, and love it. So good to be here. I'm going to bring Dwight Diller up and do a couple of tunes here in a bit. And we will close with See If You Know It. See if you all know Thank y'all.
All right. Mighty fine. The High Ridge Ramblers, ladies and gentlemen. High Ridge Ramblers. All righty. We're going to get set up here for our last act. And I'll take a minute to remind you that we're going to kick things off again tomorrow at 10:30. So we want to see you right back here. Got all the contests, banjo, fiddle. We'll have the heritage dancing. Have the outdoor stage, flat-foot dancing, square dancing, outdoor concerts of all kinds, bluegrass, banjo, mandolins. Got all kinds of contests, all kinds of activities going on here tomorrow, so we'll see you back here about 10:30. And I've had the extreme pleasure of introducing this next gentleman many, many times, but and I've introduced him a lot of different ways, but this is the first time that I can introduce him as the 2019 winner of the Vandalia Award. So if you would, welcome back to the stage, Dwight Diller.
We'll try to keep this about the old people and what little bit I learned, for what I've retained. But I want to say thank you all. Thank you all for not walking off and being here. Appreciate it. Thank you. But it's also, as I said earlier, I was caught off guard. I didn't know I was supposed to say anything. But it's also about the students, because if you don't get it passed on, you get the Doppler effect. You know, you just kind of hear it go out the distance. So what I'm going to do is play a little bit of fiddle, and
I got it started in '68 and finally got the rhythm and the banjo in 1969. So I figured out today it was exactly 50 years since I cut the rhythm on the banjo. And I started trying to learn to play the fiddle in 1970. So it's we're talking 49 years now. It was June of 1970. And I could never play the fiddle to get what I wanted on it, year after year after year. And finally, in January of 2018, I take two different kinds of insulin. And if you're familiar with that, one is quick acting and one's not. I opened two new bottles one night, and I took the fast acting, too much of it. And I was going into a coma. And I keep a can of soda pop right beside of me, and I opened it up. But when I was coming back to, my mind wouldn't work. I couldn't think. And I don't know, any of y'all that happen to be Christians, you might understand. I literally got a nudge here, and it was, get your fiddle. That's just what I sensed real strong, and I got the fiddle out and started playing. And all those years I've taught banjo, played the banjo, lots and lots of students over all those years. And I've had some students that even playing the fiddle, and some of them even played at the White House. But all I could do is just wave goodbye to them. Literally, it hurt. Boy, it hurt. And I realized a couple of years ago that the fiddle's what's really been my instrument that's in my heart. But I had to use the banjo to teach with. And so I just thought I'd tell you where I got what's happened to me just in the past, really since January of 2018. And what I've waited on is playing the old way. That's all I ever wanted to play. And so I'm going to try to play these few tunes for you on the fiddle. And the other part of it is when I came out of the service in September of 67, I mean, I was just a wreck. I mean, just in shreds. And I came out of the psychiatric ward. And it's just things that had happened there. And so when you're in that kind of condition, it can be called bipolar, PTSD, big combination, all that stuff. And the old people the local people, it was the Hammonds and Ham Carpenter of the Carpenter family from Center, West Virginia, but also the Hammonds. They were all my neighbors, and so I started putting in time around them because nobody else wants you around when you're mentally unstable. But the old people didn't mind, and so these are their tunes. I'll play Lee Hammonds' Greasy String. I used to use it to teach with a lot. And Lee was born 1883, and he quit playing the banjo and fiddle in 1923, 1883 to 1923, and he was 40 years old, and he quit. And he started again in around 1968, 69 when I started visiting him. And if you put in time with the old people, with the tunes that they were playing, they didn't. I finally figured out, because as I said, I've been teaching banjo since 1971, so I've got 48 years of teaching banjo. And it came to me one time that, if you notice, there isn't hardly any notes compared to the newer way of playing with a lot of notes in there. But you listen to the music, music really doesn't exist except in the spaces between sounds. And if you notice that, there wasn't, this fiddle here was rescued by John Blizzard. He made it into a powerful fiddle for me. And the thing just rings and rings, but there's not many notes in there. Here's another tune. I'm going to play it. It's Lee Hammond's, another one, and he called it Patty on the Turnpike. Thank you very much. Here's another tune. I was at Burl Hammond's house one night, and his cousin James Hammonds was there. And James was Eden Hammonds, if you ever heard of Eden Hammonds. James was Eden Hammond's son. Lee Hammonds knew Eden Hammonds and grew up with Eden Hammonds visiting his home. They didn't know that they were kin to each other, but they all came from Whitley County, Kentucky. And they were down there in Whitley County and in that area in the 1700s when Daniel Boone was there. And if you see this name Callaway on here, it's Richard Callaway. He was, the Callaways were powerful people down there. And Richard Callaway was connected with Daniel Boone real close. Anyway, James remembered this tune that had come out of Kentucky, "Come Back, Boys, and Let's Feed the Horses." James was kind of getting it. And James was born in 1903. Burl was born in 1905 or 1907, depends on which Bible you look at. And anyway, Burl grabbed the fiddle away from him and said, "Here, give me that." And so he played, brought it back, the "Come Back, Boys, and Let's Feed the Horses." And it's one of my favorite ones. And for me, these old tunes, they're in that kind of modal keys. And to me, the modal tune, you don't hear those modal tunes outside of West Virginia, hardly at all. People just don't know how to play those things. And for me, they came out of the frontier, and they're all about death. And death meaning, for me, it's, all of us have to face our death. And a lot of times we deny it and so on, but ultimately we have to face it. And that's what these tunes call me to do. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. I went for many, many, many years. Most of these years, I just wouldn't pull my fiddle out around other people because I got tired of being put down on account of my fiddling. So I just didn't pull the fiddle out. But that helped me a whole lot in all my years of teaching, because it just continually reminded me of what it is to try to learn to play music and feel rejected. And I'm not able to teach very well anymore. I know all the stuff, but I've ended up being hospitalized with 4 strokes, and so it's just I don't have the strength to, because whenever you teach beginners, you got to carry beginners, and that's about all I've ever taught is beginners, because I won't teach tunes, because if you don't have any rhythm, you can't play tunes, you know, and so I got a bad name for myself for refusing to teach tunes. But it's all about rhythm, rhythm, rhythm. As I said, it's the spaces between the strings. Here's a tune that Lee Hammond's played, and I first heard him playing it in 1969, so it would be 50 years now. And it's the hardest tune that I ever played, and I still don't have what's in it. And if you notice, I'm not doing a bunch of stuff with my fingers. It's only just moving my fingers, just my left hand finger from here to here. So it's all about the spaces between the notes. His walking in the parlor. You don't win contests with those kind of tunes. Just like those tunes on the fiddle, you don't win contests with them. Okay, I'll just play something just short. I'm kind of nervous sitting up here. It's not you all, it's just me. I'll play just a touch of, can't think of the name of it. Yeah, okay. A baby bumblebee thing for children's too. Okay. Thank you. Had to get my fingers loosened up a little bit. Here's, y'all remember Gina's Cottrell that used to, okay. Well, I need to back up. Where did I get my rhythm at? Well, I was born here at Rand, but then I moved Pocahontas County when I was just a little boy. I was born in 46, moved Pocahontas County in 1952. And my mother was working at the hospital, kind of as executive secretary in the hospital, but she was working 6 days a week and made $75 a month. So times were kind of tight back in those days. And not $75 a week, but $75 a month. And so there wasn't any money for rock and roll records and all that stuff. So the only recordings that I was really hearing was my aunt and uncle's beer joint. I grew up in the beer joint, a whole lot of it. And what was happening was I finally figured it out many years later. It was, I was hearing, then somehow my heart, not my mind, but your heart, that's where you play your music from, is here. I was hearing country music on the jukebox, but that wasn't it what my heart was that I figured out. It wasn't picking that up. It was picking up two different people, Little Richard and Johnny Cash. And so I never knew where my rhythm came from in 1969 whenever when the rhythm came to me, because I can't learn from anybody. I've been a teacher, but I'm a person who can't learn from anybody else. I've just built that way. So, forgot where I was going. Anyway, I said Gina's Cottrell. So I was in 1972 when I hadn't been playing the banjo very long at all, and John Dave Morse hired me, and I don't know why. I couldn't hardly play the banjo in those days, but I had good rhythm, but I didn't know any of the notes to the tunes. And so they never practiced, so we'd walk on stage and I would figure out the song. It was usually songs, but I was figuring out the songs when I was on stage with John and Dave and John Martin. Anyway, there was a local man from Clay County, Gina's Cottrell, and I heard him singing this. Years later, I kind of figured it out. Put your hand to the plow. Went to church the other day for to hear them sing and pray. Put your hand to the plow, go right on. Put your hand to the plow and go right on. Preacher said I had to repent, so right down the aisle I went. Put your hand to the plow and go right on. Put your hand to the plow and go right on. Never been to heaven, but I've been told first class city and the seats is gold. Put your hand to the plow and go right on. Put your hand to the plow and go right on.
your hand to the plow and go right on. Paul and Silas began to shout, jail busted open and they walked out. Put your hand to the plow and go right home. Hold on. Put your hand to the plow and go right home. Loosed up Peter all nice and neat, wouldn't let the Savior wash his feet. Put your hand to the plow and go right on. Hold on, hold on. Put your hand to the plow and go right on. Paul and Silas, Peter got anxious and he said, wash my feet, my hands and head. Put your hand to the plow and go right on. Hold on, hold on. Put your hand to the plow and go right on. Got my hand on the gospel plow, wouldn't take nothing from a journey now. Put your hand to the plow and go right on. Hold on, hold on. Put your hand to the plow and go right on. Thank you very much. When Kim called me a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, to come in here and play, she insisted that I play the banjo because I don't hardly play the banjo anymore. I got just wore out with doing that, teaching all those years, and I just now got the fiddle, as I told you. And so what I was thinking about earlier today in terms of Kim, you know, there's some people who has a big name and they get all this recognition. And if you go on YouTube and start looking underneath, and you see, for me personally, Kim is one of the people for the past 35 years or more, maybe 40 years, has done more for West Virginia music, keeping it going. He's done more than anybody else out there. And so I just want to say that. And for my part, I hope she gets one of these days. I'm all the time, my mouth's getting me in trouble a lot of times, but I don't care.
The other thing is John Morse. They hired me as a fledgling banjo player, and they got a Rockefeller grant back there in 1972 in the summer of '73, and so they hired me, and I was learning to play banjo, and Glenn Smith from up in Elizabeth, and then Lee Triplett from up in Clay. Those men would allow me to play banjo with them when I didn't know the tunes. And I just wanted to mention to you all, I mentioned about the rhythm. They would allow me to play with them on stage, backing them up and missing the notes, melody notes. But I had this rhythm that I picked up from the beer joint. And that's the secret to it. That's the secret to it. So whenever you're passing this stuff along, anybody who's out there doing that, make sure that the people are getting the old rhythm. This rhythm I'm playing here is from the black people in the South. It's a black rhythm. It's not the West Virginia rhythm of the banjo players, the traditional. But I got it from the rock and roll men or Johnny Cash. There's in the recent years, there's a woman that's I used to teach banjo over in England for about 10 years, and then 2008 was the last year I was over there. But I met a woman, and her name's Catherine. And we've been together, but we don't see each other face to face but once every 2 or 3 years for a short time. Well, we're in connection. In fact, if you go on YouTube and you put in Dwight Diller and Catherine Rowe, R-O-W-E, you'll hear us playing in the contest in here at Vandalia in 2017. And that's when I opened my big mouth and made the judges mad at me because of what I said. But that happens. It's all right. It was for a good cause, as they say. Anyway, she's 5 hours ahead of me, and so I'll play the banjo for her to go to sleep at night. And this is a tune called Cindy. Okay, two more and I'll quit before I wear out my welcome. These are two more of those tunes that I told you. They came out of the frontier, as far as I'm concerned. They got that quality about them. It's death, and facing your own death. And you know, we have to learn to, if we're going to do anything worthwhile, we have to face our own death and see what's worth investing our life in. Here's the other one. Peace be with you.
Mr. Dwight Diller, all right. Okay, thank you all so much. You've been a great audience, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Be sure and come back. Thank you.